Alright gamers, it's the first week of Season 3 in the War Within, and I'm here to bring you a plus 13 Floodgate. So on a quick side note, remember last season when I said I was going to upload a lot more videos? Well, it turns out that I didn't, and you know what? The most important part is that we're here now, and we're doing this key. In this key, we have a Protection Paladin, a Marksman Hunter, a Resto Druid, a Shadow Priest, and me, of course, the Windwalker. So I'll be playing Shado-Pan in this key. I just got the tier set last night, and I honestly just swapped over to the Shado-Pan talent tree. I looked up someone else's talent setup on Raider.io, and I just slammed it. So my UI is a little bit scuffed. As you can see, my Shado-Pan stacks are on the left, overlapping the debuffs. It's pretty bad. What's not bad is the damage that we're doing on this first pull. 23 million, I believe, is the number that we peaked at. That is pretty good. This is really my highest key I've done so far this season. I've honestly just been doing splits with my guild and grinding out gear. So I haven't really had a chance to see what the other damage numbers are like for other classes, but I mean, even outside of cooldowns, I was doing pretty well on these packs. Hopefully that stays consistent throughout the season, and we're pretty close to the other classes. From what I've heard from Babylonius, he's the Windwalker Monk class Discord, I guess, leader. He also writes all the guides on Wowhead. He's saying that Windwalker is going to be like a 3 out of 10 in the Mythic Plus and a 7 out of 10 in Raid. From one of his streams I saw a clip of. It kind of makes me think we're going to fall off on the damage numbers, but it's kind of too early to tell because gear right now is playing a pretty big difference. I believe going into this key, I was 701 item level with some really good trinkets and a 704 weapon. Outside of the Windwalker talk, this is a pretty standard route from last season. I believe the tank wanted to share it before the dungeon started, but MDT's broken. I don't think it really matters. If you played last season, you've done this dungeon a million times, so everyone is pretty familiar with what needs to get stopped and what the route's looking like.
CC. CC.
We're going to get that bomb, and I believe now we're just going to go across the water and do that pretty big pull with the harpooner guys and the architects to the left. I'm being super cautious around that bomb because I've seen people die from standing way too close to it, and I've also died myself from being way too close to it. So there, we're going to go ahead and grab the harpoon kick. That's the most important kick in this group. Only one of those can go out at a time, which is really nice, but if you miss it, someone's going to get gripped in, and they're probably going to land on a bomb and die. What else is interesting for the Shado-Pan build is we're not running Slicing Winds, and we're running the Emperor's Capacitor talent, I think is what it's called. It's the lightning one, right? It's the Emperor Palpatine lightning one. It's pretty good. I don't mind it. I was a pretty big fan of Slicing Winds because of just the quick damage that you can put out, and you can kind of pad on some of the smaller units to keep up with some of the other classes. I mean, we have flurry strikes to replace that. If you can time yours correctly, you going into certain packs, going into especially big packs, you can have a big pop at the beginning and get some really good damage off. Just again, typical Floodgate run, avoiding the bombs, killing the architect, and heading up to the demolition duos first. That way we can have lust for Big Mama. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but this is a pug, so there's no comms. There's just me listening to music and just typing whatever we needed to get done, which I think is pretty okay for these keys that we've just had for an entire season. Everyone should know them by now, and the changes that they made to them are not very drastic.
Dodge. Run. Feet. Feet.
So here, the proud target for us is the Shreddinators. I believe in the 12 Floodgate I did the day before, I stood in the saws, kind of like how I normally did last season, and I was fine, but I ended up dying.
Feet. Feet. Dodge.
There, I was actually getting channeled on by the fire thing at the in cap. Otherwise, I was going to die there. That was a split second in cap, saved my life. If you're playing Windwalker Monk, make sure you're using your in cap as a range kick. It will save your life. It will save other people's lives. It is one of our best abilities.
Feet.
You know, sometimes you have a mob casting on the group and range, and no one else can go out there and kick it and cap it, right? You got something, no one has any kicks, and something needs to be stopped and cap it. It is such a versatile ability, and I use it quite a bit. So here we're going into Big Mama, and at this point, it looks like the Shadow Priest started PIing me. I don't think I noticed that until a little bit later into the key, which I believe Shado-Pan in Season 1 of the War Within was a very good PI target.
Clear.
PI would be pretty good for us this season as well. I don't look at the PI spreadsheets or anything like that, so I have no idea.
Charge.
You were just absolutely cranking this boss, right? Almost sitting at 6 mil. What is it, 5.9? 2 target cleave, the bread and butter of Windwalker. Also, what's helpful in this comp is that the hunter is focusing the Bront guy, and I believe he's getting a biz damage increase, which is helping me do more damage on him.
Charge. 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 Clear.
On this boss, it really doesn't, like, there's really not a lot that goes on. You just have to get all the bombs there. The priest gripped me over. I don't know if he had a dispel or not.
Run.
And honestly, I could have made that leap myself, but looks like he just gripped me in. And you can diffuse magic those, which is super helpful because you can run over, get a couple bombs, diffuse, run back, and you're back in the fight. You don't have to rely on somebody else's, ability to dispel you.
Run.
So there, I think we got all 4 bombs on the left-hand side. We're back on the boss. The damage that we're doing is still pretty solid, considering that we're a melee class, right? And we don't have 100% uptime on these bosses because they're kind of not together for, I'd probably say, like 30% of the time. The fact that I'm keeping up with the Shadow Priest is pretty good, since the Shadow Priest can just dot up both of these guys and just let it rip. Looks like we're back to 5 mil, and we are just smoking these guys.
Front. Charge. Charge.
Now that I think about it, I'm pretty excited to optimize the Windwalker Shado-Pan damage this season. It looks pretty fun. It's very passive. You don't really have to think about it. You just hit the buttons. But I know I probably should have hit Fist of Fury a lot more in this key. I probably could have saved my like Shado-Pan stacks better. Also, I could have had my stacks pre-ready before the dungeon, but those are all things that I could do to optimize. I have some gear pieces that don't have any haste on them, I believe, or mastery. There's a lot of room for me to improve. And honestly, I just have to kind of remember the flow of Shado-Pan since I've just played Conduit for an entire season.
Front.
So far, feels pretty good in keys, and I've enjoyed it in raid. I've done it on a few bosses in raid, but I mainly was playing Conduit since I on one of the bosses I swapped over and I didn't have any of the bars set up or anything, and I just had a bunch of buttons that were grayed out because they weren't buttons for Shado-Pan, and I had to swap over back to Conduit. But now everything is set up. I'm going to optimize my bars a little bit. I'm going to remove some of the stuff in the middle of my weak war that I'm tracking. Maybe some stuff that I don't like really need. And it'll probably end up looking a lot better than having my Shado-Pan stacks right above my debuff bar on the left. I can't even see when we lusted or how much time is left on lust. I'm just trusting the group. I have no idea.
CC. Front. Front.
This pack is kind of annoying because of the Demolitioner that does the RPG attack. All you have to do is just dodge them and try to stop them as much as you can so you don't have to just run around too much.
Front. Front.
Here, I believe we have Lust going into this. He's pulling the pack on the left, going up the stairs, getting the soldiers in the back, and the pack on the right with the contractors. And I'm pretty sure I asked to pull boss. Yeah, because I have everything. I even have pot here and 2 stacks of Stern Earth and Fire. We lusted, and we're just immediately going to slam this. Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't see this because I was slamming the key, but we pretty much peaked at almost 50 million DPS there. That is bonkers. This pack just got demolished. That's the best way I can put it. All the small guys are dead. We just have 1 droid left, and we need to get that kick over there. Looks like the Shadow Priest got it.
Dodge.
So we're going to get this drone down, and after this, I really don't have anything, and I kind of fuck up this, and I kind of don't know why I did this, but I was channeling my lightning on the boss during the damage amp, and I just went forward. And I think I do it again on the next one. Maybe I was like alt-tabbing or something. I don't know what my problem was and why I stopped the channel, but that was a pretty big DPS loss. After the first damage amp, we're still sitting at 16 million damage. That is nuts. And I think I did get PI on this pack. Pretty sure. I can't remember at this point. Now I really don't want to rewind the recording, but let's just safely assume that we did get PI. So 50 million is pretty good. Maybe if you don't get PI, you can still probably do that depending on your procs and how much stuff you pull into this boss. But yeah, this is, I mean, dude, the Shado-Pan, for me, honestly, it's fun to do big numbers, and these are some pretty big numbers at the beginning of the season. We got the last second kick on the mecha drone. The boss has the shield on him. I'm over there checking the damage breakdown, where all my damage come from, and most of it is flurry strikes. So I think a tier set is it feels good once the flurry strikes pop off. I do enjoy that. And I remember in season 1 of the War Within, I really enjoyed playing Shado-Pan in PvP, in arenas more specifically, because the flurry procs do a lot of damage and it'll do it very quickly. So it's almost like an execute button in a way. You get someone down kind of low, you hit him with a flurry proc, and it could bring him down to a quick touch of death and you can kill him. It's just something that healers aren't expecting. Whereas if it's just a lot of consistent big damage, they can kind of counteract that, but this just kind of pops out of nowhere and sometimes just kills people. So it's really fun. I'm really looking forward to playing some arenas this first week. Maybe try to get 1800 to mess around with the new PvP transmog set. That could be kind of fun.
Interrupt.
Run. Dodge. AoE.
And we're going into the last damage amp. Not a lot going on here. They did remove some of the mobs near this bomb that's right here, which is kind of nice. A lot of the time people skipped it or they melded to get up there. It's just nice. It's more consistent. Makes the dungeon not fail on some stupid bullshit about messing up a skip or messing up a bomb. Stuff like this I do like. I like these changes, like bubbles, for example. No one ever killed bubbles in high keys, so it was a good change to this dungeon. So it looks like the hunter is going to go ahead and grab the bomb, and now we just have 2 more bosses left. We're at 60% count, and we're just about to reach the 17th minute of this dungeon. Going into this next pack up here, all you gotta do is just kick the Blood Warper guy. You want to try to kill him as fast as possible and dodge all of these RPG cannon things, because they can just accidentally kill someone, just like they did with that healer. This is pretty dangerous here. We have no healer up here, and the healer decided to revive, but it's nice that they added the respawn beacon right down the stairs. That's another good change this season. Those respawn beacons is awesome.
CC.
Here we're going to pop Karma. We used a lot of our defensives here and a health pot just to stay alive. What honestly should have happened if we were in a coordinated group is that the healer would have gotten V-Rest. Even though the revive is down there, this is still a pretty dangerous pack, and we could have for sure wiped if people didn't have defensives or health pots. And this, if 1 or 2 people go down, the pack starts to live long, and I mean, other people start dying, you run back in, die, and then it's just bad all around. So it looks like the hunter is grabbing this bomb. And something that I've never done, all of last season, I usually took the glider, but I saw everyone else just jump down. So I just figured we can double jump down. So we rolled and double jumped all the way down here, and we started attacking the kelp. And here the dungeon gets a little bit scary, because what we failed to realize here is someone triggered the bomb. I believe the hunter, and so now we're all going to get knocked back. The boss is going to spawn. We have to move these mobs, otherwise we're going to pull the boss, and we really have no way of gripping anything over. So it's going to get kind of dangerous, kind of scary, but I think for the most part we did very well here. Looks like the Shadow Priest died because of, I think that was just aggro. Dude, the kelp ran over there and bonked him on the head. That's okay. Looks like we're recovering pretty well. Here again, should have just sent the B-Res on the Shadow Priest. There's no point in holding it. Shadow Priest just came in, died. We just have to send the Battle Res there, I think, because this pack is super dangerous, especially if enough of them are spinning. And if the healer doesn't have any cooldowns or mana, it can get really, really dicey. If the Shadow Priest didn't get meleeed by a mob, his pack would have been dead a long time ago, and we would have been able to save a little bit of time. Here on the overalls, this is the first time I actually passed everyone in the key, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Shadow Priest is PIing me, and the Shadow Priest just died twice on this big pack. So I think if the Shadow Priest hadn't died, they for sure would have beat me in this key. Shadow Priest is pretty good this season.
Stack.
And I believe going forward in this key, they PI me, but since they died and their cooldowns are up and mine aren't, our damage is just desynced at this point. Just getting random PI feels nice anyways. Your buttons light up a little bit faster. You do a little bit more damage.
Link. 3, 2, 1. Dodge. Stack. AoE.
For Swampface, this is really nice for Windwalker. We have a defensive pretty much for every single slam.
3, 2, 1. Dodge. Stack. AoE.
Here for this slam, we're going to have Diffuse. And I believe for the next slam, we should have something else up as well. It might just be the Health Potion or Fort Brew.
Link. 3, 2, 1. Dodge. Stack. AoE.
Yeah, this boss is pretty chill. If you get lucky with the waves, people move correctly and the healer has you on these slams and people are using their defensives. So there I used my Fort Brew because it just came up. Yeah, if people use their defensives, this boss is a piece of cake.
Link. 3, 2, 1.
Going
Dodge.
into the next slam, we should have our Karma be
Stack.
right after this mudslide.
AoE.
Also, something that I wanted to bring up, the Shado-Pan single target in keys feels pretty good. It doesn't feel like we're sacrificing a whole lot of damage to go into the AoE variant of the build.
3, 2, 1.
I think
Dodge.
season 1 of the War Within, our boss damage in keys was always pretty good, but our just big AoE damage sucked.
AoE.
I'm really liking the boss damage. I mean, we're sitting at almost 4 mil on this single target guy here.
Link. 3, 2, 1. Dodge.
Cooldowns are about to come up. Boss is at 2%, so we're obviously not going to send, which is a little bit scuffed, but I think we killed this guy at what? Yeah, 24:03. So we have roughly 9 minutes to finish this key. We don't have a lust since I believe we lusted on the last boss, or we didn't. I don't know. I can't see. My lust tracker is right behind my Shado-Pan stacks. So this is a pretty big pool, and now that I remember that, and I just heard the scream, we are going to lust right here, and we're going to just slam this pack. I don't think this pack lived for that long. Yeah, we're just climbing the numbers again. Every single time the Flurry Strikes pops, oh my, it feels so good. Now, this pack is pretty dangerous. There is a Dispel that goes out that you can handle with a Diffuse Magic. But outside of that, you just have to make sure that you're stopping those Inspector's frontals by using your in cap or using your Ring of Peace. It's super helpful, especially if there's not a lot of room, and if you don't pull the guy on the left, then you're kind of like crammed on the right, and you don't want someone to die because they're afraid of pulling. You could just in cap or Ring of Peace the frontal out. It's just safer for the group. Going into this pack, I think this is 8%. This is going to put us at 95, so I think we were 5% over. Might have pulled an extra pack somewhere, but it is what it is.
Run.
There we had the dot, and we went ahead and diffused and got rid of it just to help out the healer. I think the tank did a pretty good job overall. Just, I mean, pulled everything pretty well. Didn't die. Didn't do anything stupid. That's that's good enough for me. Same thing with the healer. I think the healer did really well. I never felt like I was in danger. I mean, outside of the pack up the stairs with the blood guy, but that just because the healer died, right? Can't heal if you're not there.
Run. Run.
All of last season, we played with a priest or a shaman, and this is my first time playing with a resto in over 8 months or something. So felt pretty good. Didn't feel like I was ever in danger. I know they have like bark for the tank and stuff, and that's pretty good. Overall, this is a pretty good group. I think everyone did what they had to do, and we ended up timing the key. We have 4 deaths. The timer is getting kind of tight. We don't have lust on the last boss, and the last boss can take a while. Going into this, usually the tank or someone marks one of these guys, and you want to make sure you kill them because they do a lot of damage. On the higher keys, this pack is pretty annoying because you have to use a lot of defensives here sometimes, which you need for the boss. So, but here on 13, I think for the most part we're fine, and the healer just kept us up. I'm pretty sure I only had to use Karma on this pack. Just kind of got these guys out of the way and went to the boss. One of my concerns with playing Shado-Pan this season is that it is on a 2-minute rotation, which is really nice for the prismatic trinket that I have. It's like the caster trinket from season 1, where the longer you have it charging or whatever, the more damage you do. And I believe per stack, it gives like 3k agi. Pretty sure I use it somewhere around like 12, 13 stacks. If I'm not mistaken, in the Shado-Pan build, maybe a little bit more. That goes very well with that trinket, because there's a little bit more time in between your cooldowns.
Run. Bait. Fixate.
I just started yapping. I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, my main concern was being on a 2-minute timer instead of a 130. I felt like I would do less damage. It would feel worse, like I wouldn't have damage for packs. But honestly, it didn't feel that bad.
Front.
Like, I had something for everything, and even when I didn't, playing Shado-Pan is a little bit more flexible with the Storm, Earth, and Fire. Conduit and keys, the Storm, Earth, and Fire was a little bit wonky, always. At least for me it was. It always got desynced. Never knew when to use my second charge. But here, even on those packs where I didn't have anything, I could just send a Storm, Earth, and Fire and just check, and then maybe like delays when by 10 or 15 seconds or something, if there's a big pack coming up or anything important.
Front. Bait. Front.
I did a lot of yapping in this key that's not about the key, but I figured I personally have done this key a million times last season. The last thing I'm going to do is talk about what you're supposed to do in this key.
3, 2.
In some of the newer dungeons, I will talk about some of the mechanics and how to help out the group and bosses. But at this point, this dungeon is so ran through. I hate it. I don't know why we chose to do this dungeon again. Was it the trinket? Why are you choosing dungeons based on trinkets? You do realize that once you get your trinket, you have to run this dungeon the entire season. Yeah, I don't know.
3, 2, 1. Front. Bait.
Also, I've been seeing a lot of Brewmasters at the top of the M+ leaderboard. And if Brewmaster turns out to be just turbo meta and Windwalker like really falls off, I might just swap over to Brewmaster and finish the rest of the season with that. I think that would be kind of cool. I've never really tanked outside of a few times just to help out the tank at a high level. I haven't really done that, so that could be kind of fun to learn. And maybe I can respect tanks a little bit more. Obviously kidding.
Front. Dance.
We are going into what looks like the last minute of this key. The boss is at 18%. We have all of our cooldowns running. Yeah, it looks like Zone just went down. Stormwrath and Fire is still running. And we are sitting at a cool 3.3 million DPS.
3, 2, 1.
Single target feels pretty good. Looks like the tank there is calling for Bark for this tank buster. Looks like the druid got him. They're just vibing. Or maybe not. It looks like the Bark is down for 30 seconds. I don't really know the cooldown of Bark. No idea how that works.
1.
Boss is dead, and we still had 40 seconds left in the key, and that is our first 13 timed of the season. And we got some shitty boots. Great.